Welcome back, everybody. I'm Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart and The Lonesome Crown, all published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today, I'm going to be reviewing the fantastic classic novel by Wilkie Collins, The Woman in White. Now, this came out in 1800 sometime in there. Wilkie Collins was a contemporary of Charles Dickens. In fact, they were very good friends. And Wilkie Collins' novels, this novel, The Moonstone, he was known as kind of the first author to ever do like murder mystery, detective story type stuff in the history of the world. So we're going way back in the Wayback Machine to talk about some of the first mystery novels, and we'll be reviewing The Moonstone in about a week because I just reread that one too. What do we think about the cover? Well, there's probably been thousands of covers come out for this novel. This just happens to be the one I have. I like it. It's a picture of a very good painting of a woman in white, which is about what the story is about. If you also want to not read the book and watch a pretty good movie, a 5-part series that PBS did just recently. This is pretty good. This is really good. Does it follow the story exactly? Not necessarily, but it's very, very, very good production. There was another Woman in White movie that came out in the 70s or 80s. I watched that a few years ago, and I'm telling you, folks, it was garbage. It's absolute dog poop. Don't bother with it. This one, however, is pretty damn good. And, they spend about 5 to 6 hours on the story because it's a miniseries. And so they really do it justice. What's this thing about? Okay, the first time I read this was when I was working in the Utah State Prison in the mental health unit. And so I had been there about 6 years, and so I knew mental health illness. And this opens with a very great scene of this artist who's walking through the woods, and he comes across a woman in white, and she's mentally ill, clearly mentally ill. And it's just a very creepy scene, and it's written so well. I mean, Wilkie Collins, even back in the 1800s, he captures just within that opening scene what mental illness is really like. I was reading that just in delight, going, this girl is speaking and talking exactly the way a mentally ill, schizophrenic type person would talk. It just magically he did it. I don't know whether he researched it. I don't know how exposed he was to mental illness or people that were mentally ill, but man, he nailed it. And that solidified in my mind that this guy as a writer was fantastic. Because I've read a lot of Charles Dickens, and I'm telling you, hit or miss for me, mostly miss. This guy is way better than Charles Dickens. Way better. Charles Dickens got a lot more acclaim and fame, but Wilkie Collins, in my book, was just a way better storyteller. His stories are much more interesting and much more gripping. And just from that opening scene where our artist, whose name is Hartright, meets the woman in white, who becomes sort of the centerpiece of the story, even though she's not in it that much. She becomes the centerpiece of the story. What happens is Hartright meets this woman in white, and he has this bizarro conversation with her. He can tell she's mentally ill. He later finds out that she escaped from some sort of insane asylum, and people were chasing her, and this, that, and the other. Well, the story moves on to this Hartright, the artist. He gets commissioned by a nobleman in a big manor house. He's like, I want you to teach my 2 young daughters, and when I mean young, I mean late teens, early 20s. Art. I want you to come tutor them as an artist, and you can come tutor them. And so he moves out. It's a great opportunity. He gets paid a lot. He goes out to this manor house, this beautiful manor house, to teach these girls art. And it's like every young artist fantasy, right? You get a job. Not only that, but you get a job tutoring 2 extremely beautiful young women how to paint, and they worship you from the moment they see you. And it's just like, and even one of the sisters calls him Adam and the two Eves. It's like Adam and the two Eves. And then the other sister starts to kind of fall in love with him. But she's engaged to a nobleman. She's engaged to a nobleman. And she can't fall in love, but she starts to fall in love with this artist, and she starts calling him. Now it's Adam and the one Eve, right? And they're kind of having like this secret little kissy make out affair when nobody's watching. And but anyway, it all has to come to an end because the father finds out, and it's like, my daughter is we've already set her to marry this nobleman for, political reasons and money reasons. And so you got to get the out. Dude, artist, man, you done fucked up, and you got to get out. So you're out, And meanwhile, there's this woman in white, this crazy woman. And the thing is, there's this extremely, the sister Hartright falls in love with has an uncanny, she looks like the woman in white, the crazy girl. And so there's this mystery. Why do these two people look so much alike? And this crazy person is just weaving in and out of the story in very mysterious ways, almost like supernatural ghost-like ways. And it's freaking him out because he's like, well, I'm in love with this nobleman's daughter. And then there's this mysterious woman in white who's crazy, who looks exactly like the nobleman's daughter. And so it's like there's this strange mystery, right? Well, anyway, Hartright gets kicked off the plantation. He gets kicked out of the manor house for falling in love with the wrong sister. And then we don't see him anymore. And that's, if there's one, he does come back towards the end. But a good chunk, he was our main protagonist, right? And then he just vanishes. And we really like him, and we really like his interactions in the manor house with the sisters and all of this, because it's very intriguing, because it's like a young artist's dream come true, just to be with these two beautiful girls and have them both like you. And then what happens is the nobleman that the sister he falls in love with shows up, and he's jealous because he knows that his future wife may or may not have gotten involved with this artist. And so he's kind of a douche. He's a straight douche. And so then the story turns into this mystery and this convoluted, very intriguing plot for the nobleman who's married the sister, how he wants to plot to take her fortune and to take the manor house from the family, because he's just a bad guy. And there's all these plots and schemes. And I won't get into it more than that. And a lot of the secrets hinge upon this mysterious woman in white, the crazy lady. So what we've got here, and I'll read the back of, just because there's just a nice little description on the back of what's going on that kind of encapsulates what's happening. An instant success when it first appeared in 1860, this mystery thriller has continued to thrall readers ever since. Secrets, mistaken identities, surprise revelations, amnesia, locked rooms and asylums, unorthodox villains, and breathtaking tension. Yeah, that's what this is about. That's a great description of everything that goes on in this book. I don't want to give away the mystery because I love the way this thing plays out. This thing goes in directions that you're not expecting. And at the same time, you kind of almost, the answer is almost obvious, but it's not. It's like one of those great mysteries where it's like you almost, I'm like, oh, I saw that coming. I saw that one coming. I saw that one coming. But then there's so many that you don't see coming, which is what great mysteries are about. And I can't talk enough about this. This is one of the greatest classics out there. I like it. If you saw my top 10 classic novel list, you know I talked about this one a lot. So, The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins gets a 10 out of 10, man. It's dope.